So for starters, I wanted to talk about Ethereum. And I wanted to talk about a few things that have happened in Ethereum recently. Who here heard about the DAO, the Slockit DAO? All right, not everybody. All right, well, what a DAO is a decentralized autonomous organization. It's a organization set up where you can vote using tokens distributed on a blockchain. So it's a fair and transparent decision-making system. So they created one of these, the company called Slock.it, originally a bike lock manufacturer. They probably should have stuck with that. Are we cutting the lights? All right, so anyway, the Slockit.io, it wasn't programmed securely, so a lot of money was stolen from it, something like $30 to $60 million worth of Ethereum was stolen because it was poorly coded. So the Ethereum developers, a lot of whom had invested money in the DAO, decided in their infinite unbiased wisdom to reverse this by executing what's called a hard fork, which is basically where all the miners on a cryptocurrency just agree to change the state of the blockchain, and everyone goes on as if nothing extremely strange just happened. So this happened. They did a hard fork. They broke into 2 Ethereum chains, and they figured one of the chains, the old chain, would just die off. No one would pay any attention to it because it's all the main developers for Ethereum were on the new chain. Well, they were wrong. They began listing the alternative coin, Etherium Classic, on several different exchanges, and now it's taken on a life of its own as a very real alternative to Ethereum in the smart contract and distributed autonomous organization business. So that's the difference between Ethereum and Etherium Classic and how they came about because of the DAO and the hard fork. So I think they're both worth looking into. Like I said, Ethereum has more of a development community, whereas Etherium Classic has that immutability that you want in your blockchain. The fact that it can't just be changed at a whim by the devs and the miners. So I personally, we got a question back there?
We have a microphone up there if you'd like to ask a question.
All right, so I walked in late, I apologize, but did you cover, like, if I have Ethereum and then things changed, do I have Ethereum Classic now? Or what's the deal with my...
That's an interesting question. When you have a hard fork, what you have is one blockchain that splits into 2. So if you had Ethereum on the blockchain before that, you now have Ethereum on both blockchains. So you have Ethereum and Ethereum Classic.
So, so I can still treat it just the same then? I don't have to do anything different?
No, you should split them immediately. There's several major exchanges have tools available that allow you to split them into separate wallets so that you don't have to worry about accidentally trying to send one and sending both and losing one half. That's why another reason why I was against the hard fork, because they didn't put any protection against that problem, which is called a replay attack.
Okay.
So,
we'll talk more later then.
Yeah. It's really easy to do once you get some experience. But I can definitely help troubleshoot that if you need some help. If you want to split your Ethereum and your Ethereum Classic immediately if you have 3 hard fork Ether tokens. All right. Do we got any other questions about Ether or Ether Classic? All right. Well, I'm going to move on to another emerging cryptocurrency. This is my new favorite, except for Bitcoin. I mean, you guys know I love Bitcoin, so I've been in Bitcoin since the very beginning. But that's Dash. Dash is incredibly interesting. It was known as Darkpoint until a little over a year ago. They rebranded because they thought that Darkpoint would scare people away. I don't know. I like the name Darkpoint better than Dash, but Dash is supposed to be digital cash. It's real simple, and it's real anonymous. I think that's the most important thing with cryptocurrency. The cryptocurrency space has been hijacked to some extent by the the financial technology or fintech movement. And a lot of people are getting away from one of the original use cases for Bitcoin, in my opinion, was protecting your anonymity. And I think that's true of a lot of the libertarian community. That's what we saw as the benefit of Bitcoin, is that you could protect your financial anonymity. And they're trying to co-opt the blockchain technology and put it into forms where you can no longer do that, but you still have the benefits of the universal ledger. So I definitely think that investing in a cryptocurrency that is based on privacy and anonymity is a great idea, and that's why I like Dash. Dash has built-in coin join mixing, which is basically where you make a promise to send a certain amount of the currency from one address to another, controlled by another person, and they send an equal amount to an address controlled by you, so it's not traceable. So that's done through a system called master nodes. If you have over 1,000 Dash or more, you can open what's called a master node and participate in this blind mixing system that provides all the anonymity in Dash. So currently there's about 4,044 master nodes, and they're providing that service to everyone on the Dash blockchain. And that's actually very important because Dash, when you mine it, unlike Bitcoin, that all goes to the person who did the proof of work algorithm, this is a hybrid proof of work, proof of service system. 45% of the block reward in Dash goes to the miner who finds the block. Another 45% goes to the master nodes who are providing the service of anonymity and mixing for your coin. So they have a financial incentive to provide honest anonymity services to you. And that leaves 10%. 10% of the block reward for Dash is reserved for other projects, including paying off all their development. All their development is paid for off of the blockchain, as well as other stuff like promotional tours, like the Dash Across America tour I was just talking about, which is bringing more people into Dash and helping people learn how to get into the currency. So I think that Dash is really exciting. Personally, I want to run a master node. I think that would be really cool. Because the master nodes actually get a vote. They get to vote as a whole on how the 10% is dispersed. What development projects, what promotional projects are worthwhile. So I think it's really exciting. I think Dash is something everyone who's interested in cryptocurrency for the sake of privacy should look into very seriously. So, any questions about Dash?
Yes, hang on.
Awesome.
So does Dash use proof of stake or proof of work?
It uses proof of work, but only 45% of the block reward goes to the person who solves the proof of work puzzle. The other 45% goes to master nodes, and then the other 10% goes into a fund that's dispersed once per month, according to the votes of the master nodes, to causes that are worthy in growing the Dash ecosystem.
Thank you.
Delicious. All right, well, another one I wanted to talk about, and this one, this is not an endorsement. This is just one that I think is interesting, and it's a new model that's fairly new on the scene, and that's StdM. StdEM. It is a social media blockchain hybrid chimera, whatever you want to call it. It's a system where you can post a blog or any social media content and other people upvote it, and depending on how much they have invested in the system, their upvote can count towards money given to you for content they considered was high quality. So it's kind of a system that incentivizes people to put money in because that gives their vote more power, but also incentivizes people to publish good content because then they receive more money in return for their content. The problem is it looks like there may be a pretty inflationary supply, and the value just in the past 7 days has dropped something like 70%. So I'm skeptical about whether it's something you might want to invest in. But I've started a blog there, or actually I've transferred my campaign blog over to Steam recently, and I've gotten some upvotes. It's cool, to get a couple pennies here and there or whatever. But overall, it does almost strike me as a Ponzi scheme or something where they're trying to get more people to put more money in and to lock it in. Because once you spend your Steam on what they call Steam power, which is what actually makes your vote more valuable, you can't withdraw it back into regular Steam from Steam power unless you go into like the 2-year withdrawal process. So it seems kind of shady to me, but as long as you're not investing a lot of money into it, if you just want to put a few posts over there and see if you can make some money, it might be fun. It might be a model that someone else comes along and duplicates but does in a better way. I think that social media on the blockchain is a good idea, and it will be here to stay. I just don't know if Steam and steamit.com, which is the social media website you can go to set up an account, I don't know if they're going to be the one that sticks around. But it's an interesting concept. Anybody have any questions about Steam? Ben, what's up?
Hey, what's going on, brother?
Not much.
I just want to agree with you about Steam. I think it's definitely shady and a poor investment. As someone that trades crypto every day, I just definitely advise against it. And by the way, we need to start a master node.
Yes. I know a couple other people that know that. We should. I think there might be an MPLC master node coming out of this talk, and that would be awesome. All right, that's pretty much all I had. Yeah, is there any other cryptocurrencies? I might be able to answer your questions. Those are the ones Bitcoin, that's right. Bitcoin is a brand new currency, I think sponsored by the Freedom Fiends. And it uses crypto note ring signatures, so it's extremely good for privacy, comparable to Monero, which is another crypto note ring signature. I don't know what that means. I'm just saying. I know that that's what it's called, but I don't know what a crypto note ring signature really is. But it's really good for privacy, so I've heard. So I want to look into Monero and maybe even Bitcoin. Because like I said, privacy in your cryptocurrency is incredibly important. Probably the most important feature in my opinion. So yeah, Bitcoin, Monero, look those up. Anything else? Chris?
Dogecoin. I've got a question about Dash and the 10% of the block reward that gets doled out. How does a cause get put on the ballot of?
You can apply. You can apply, and they'll put it on the website. I don't know if every application gets put on the website. If there's some sort of screening process, I can look into that. But I think that all you got to do is apply, and if a majority of the master nodes approve the expenditure on the next, what they have a once per month super block, it's called. Every 10,000 blocks or so, they have a super block. And that's when all of the 10% comes up. That's when they vote on that. So once per month, the master nodes will all have a vote on all the proposals that are on the table, and the ones that they think are enough to get a majority of the master nodes get funded.
All right.
All right, anybody else? Questions about cryptocurrency? All right, well, thanks for having me here, guys. I had a good time. If you got any other questions you think of later, I'll be here all weekend.